आवश्यक है। भारतीय शासन व्यवस्था में न्याय पंचायत की अहम भूमिका को नकारा नहीं जा सकता। न्याय सुनिश्चित करना ही उसकी पहली और आखिरी जिम्मेदारी रही है। देश के इतिहास में अक्षपाद गौतम के न्याय सूत्र की रचना के बाद चतुष्पाठी शिक्षा केंद्र का भव्य इतिहास मिलता है। गौतम बादशायन प्रभाकर, उद्योतकर और उद्यन जैसे न्यायिक विद्वानों की शिक्षा पद्धति पर आधारित प्रशिक्षण के 4 वर्ष के बाद न्याय करने वाले पंचों को तैयार किया जाता था। इसके बूते ही स्थानीय स्तर पर कार्य करने वाली पंचायत संचालित होती थी। इस व्यवस्था के ध्वस्त होने का नतीजा है कि भारतीय न्यायालयों में लगभग 7 करोड़ मुकदमे लंबित हैं। अखिल भारतीय पंचायत परिषद इनके पुनरुद्धार के लिए 5 सदस्यों वाली एक समिति और समुचित संसाधन की व्यवस्था का प्रस्ताव करती है। अतः अखिल भारतीय पंचायत परिषद का 18वां राष्ट्रीय सम्मेलन सरकार और राज्य सरकारों से यह मांग करता है कि न्याय पंचायतों को तत्कालिक पुनर्जीवित करे। धन्यवाद। ये है हमारे 2, आज हमने किए 4 हमारे हो गए हैं, फिर कल देखेंगे, इस पर चर्चा करेंगे। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद शर्मा जी. Now may I request the chairperson of this plenary session, Dr. Sri Narayana Swami ji sir, to deliver his concluding remarks.
Without taking much time, I would like to thank the 2 resource persons, Dr. S.S. Meenakshi Sundaram and Sri Alakki Gowda, both of whom were very good practitioners when they were officers with responsible positions and helping Panchayat Raj, strengthening Panchayat Raj. The subject of the session, as we all know, Panchayats, Acts, Policies and Rules. Here I wish to mention that when I was President of Bengaluru Rural Jilla Parishad at that time, Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao ji had introduced the constitutional amendment bills, and the bill relating to Panchayat Raj was referred to a joint select committee headed by Ram Nivas Mehta ji, senior leader at that time. I got a questionnaire from the committee and I responded to the points raised in the draft bill, and I was summoned to appear before the Joint Select Committee. The word is usually summoned. So I went there before visiting Parliament House as a parliamentarian. My first visit was to appear before the committee and give my views. I gave some of my views, and some of them were mentioned here in the sense. Certain terms used there, for instance, we have a mandatory provision in the Constitution for a setting up of State Finance Commission for every state. But the recommendations of the State Finance Commission are not mandatorily accepted by the state government. They are neglected, and there is no mandatory provision to say that the state government shall accept and act upon that. That is not happening, unlike the Central Finance Commission. Number 2, when I suggested that there are 3 lists in the Constitution: union list, central union list, state list, and the concurrent list. There should be a 4th list called the district government list. I suggested that it is in the proceedings of that. And also, when the 11th and 12th schedules relating to the 29 items for Panchayat Raj institutions and 18 for the urban local bodies, there also I mentioned that that should be a mandatory list, and state legislature to be given the freedom to add to that and then include their own, and they should also be in that. The recent, I wanted to use this occasion to tell you that many of the states did not except for the fact that they incorporated the mandatory provisions of the 73rd and 74th amendments into their state legislations. Some of the states like Karnataka had their own new legislation brought in repealing the old ones. So at that time, many of the states we all know did not conform to the provisions of those amendments in letter and spirit. They were not implemented. For instance, constitution and functionality of the district planning committees. Many states have not, including Glad got to so many 8. So the 15th Finance Commission, because recently the 16th Finance Commission, Central Finance Commission, headed by Sri Arvind Panagaria, the commission presented the report to the Honorable President of India. And because it is yet to be placed before the House, both the House of Parliament, it is not in public domain. Similarly, the 15th Finance Commission, then headed by Mr. N.K. Singh, they, in their recommendations, imposed certain conditionalities, mainly 4. Of the 4, 2 were wherever the Panchayat Raj institutions or the urban local bodies, we call local self-government, LSDs we say, they are supposed to function as local governments. So they are not constituted as stipulated under the Constitution, having elections every 5 years like that. The funds sanctioned by the 15th Finance Commission, to be specific, should not be released to those states where elections are not held. That happened because the 5-year award period of the 15th Finance Commission ends with the financial year end of 25-26, that is next March end. So if elections are not held in those states, the funds sanctioned for those particular states in respect of those elected bodies or non-holding of elections, those funds will be withheld, and after March 31st next year, they would lapse. The states would be deprived of the funds, one thing. And many states, in fact, I am heading the 5th State Finance Commission here. In the usual process, every state must have set up a 7th Finance Commission, and that should be functioning. Many states, including Gujarat, they had 1 or 2 finance commissions set up and did not bother to set up the remaining finance commission. Because of the conditionality imposed by the 15th Finance Commission, that wherever the State Finance Commission is not established, is not formed, within the end of the year 2024, they specifically mentioned the year, within the end of March 2024. In respect to those states also, the amounts that were recommended for those particular states should be withheld. That was the directive to the central government. They didn't withhold. They didn't withhold. Because of these 2 conditionalities, because we have also impressed upon our state government also through our first report and also in the recently presented report also, that states have started conforming to the constitutional mandatory provisions because the funds earmarked for those states are not being released. And even the 15th Finance Commission funds in respect of certain states, nearly 40 to 50% in an average that were sanctioned to these states for the 5-year period have not been released. We should make. One thing is, they have not released the funds, granted the funds due to us. That is one complaint, generally by Karnataka or any other state. But those funds that were granted, that were sanctioned, were yet to be released because of this stipulation. Another 2 conditionalities, they say, the accounting procedure, the utilization of funds released to these states should be accounted for, that should come in their balance sheet. If that is not done, and the balance sheet for the current year, previous year, and the audited accounts of the year before, the previous 2 years, if these 2 are not complied with, again the funds would be withheld. That has happened. Now the states are taking steps to see that they conform to comply with the conditionalities. So these are certain stipulations that are many are under the impression that the states are bound to hold elections at least 6 months before the expiry of the term. Many of us have not understood the mandatory provisions of the Constitution, which say elections must be held before the end of the term of these urban or local bodies. The 6 month period comes in only when, because of the state statute provision, that for any dereliction of duty or misconduct, if that particular LSC is dissolved, there is provision for dissolution within the 5-year period also. Only then those bodies, not all in the state, those particular elected bodies have to be reconstituted within 6 months after dissolution. That 6 months should be before the end of 6 months of the 5-year period. So these are certain things that are there. We made a suggestion to the 16th Finance Commission on behalf of our 5th Finance Commission. We met the Honorable Chairman and other members also, informally twice and formally once, and impressed upon them. If you stop releasing funds to these local bodies, urban or rural, we call them local governing institutions, because holding of elections is the responsibility of the State Election Commission. It is the responsibility of the state government to give all support to the State Election Commission, and a State Election Commission can refer the matter to the governor of the state to direct the state government to release the required assistance from the state government. In this case, I told them, if you withhold the funds granted to the state, that is one thing. If you withhold funds that are earmarked for particular urban or rural local bodies for not holding of elections, because they are not at fault. Non-holding of elections is not due to any fault on the part of these local governing institutions. They must not be penalized for the fault of the state government or the State Election Commission. I think they have agreed with our reasoning. We have not looked into what they have said in the recommendations in the report. These are certain things. But the evolution of funds, we always say 3 Fs. We have been saying that and we have been debating on that everywhere, wherever we go. But funds are very important. When functions are given to a particular elected body, urban or rural, funds must follow. And the administrative setup required that functionaries, what we call, that must also follow. There must be a balance among all the three, and there is one more attempt is made to include another F for the 3 Fs of late. So I thought I should share this with you. And I agree with our friend, the state head of who just spoke here, made certain suggestions. The local governing institutions, urban or rural, cannot wait for the state government to give them powers. There are very few state governments or ruling parties which have the political will to part with their powers with their sub-state level institutions under the Constitution. We must organize ourselves, raise our voice against devolution when they devolve funds or functions. There is any violation of the terms of the Constitution. We must make it a point to do that. We have to see that these constitutional self-governing issues, Gandhiji also said, there is no Swaraj unless there is Gram Raj, Gram Swaraj. Now India should be a nation of village republics. That is what we say. Now, we have to organize ourselves. Now at the apex level, we have the National Panchayat, Akhil Bharat Panchayat Parishad. It has a great role to take, a long history. It was formed and headed by people who were close to Gandhiji's ideas, who were close to the first government, which set up various expert committees whose reports were acted upon by many state governments during those years. So we have an important responsibility to respond to these shortcomings where constitutional and statutory provisions are violated with impunity. We must raise against that. And again, I am thankful to, because Mr. Dr. Meenakshi Sundaram was hesitant. We are short of time. We should not take much time. He did not want to take much time. Similarly, Mr. Yalaki Godaji, I know him for many decades after he entered service, because I have been in Panchayat Raj from 1978, when I was Vice President for 5 years, in addition to being an advocate at the block level Taluk Panchayat at that time. And I worked under the provisions of 1959 Village Panchayats and Local Boards of Karnataka and Jilla Parishad Act, and present Gram Swaraj Act as an activatory functionary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Now we come to the end of the plenary session number 2, and I take this opportunity to thank the chairman of the plenary session and also the 2 resource persons who gave their profound knowledge and thoughts about the Panchayat Acts and the policies and rules. I also thank the other Parishad representatives who gave out their ideas and opinions here in this forum. So now we end this plenary session. We'll be starting this 3rd plenary session now, for which I'd request the panelists and the chairpersons to come occupy the stage. And I thank the chairman of All India Panchayat Parishad, Subodh Kant Sahaji, who would continue to be here, and also Chavan sir. Other participants could, now, sir, next session. Okay, meanwhile, as the 3rd plenary session team assembles, I request the delegation from Manipur to come to the stage. And here I'd request Dr. P. December Singh, Adhyaksha, Imphal East District, to come and deliver his speech.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sabko namaskar. We, 13 Panchayat Raj institutions representing from Manipur, are attending here to participate 18th National Conference about All India Panchayat Parishad. I am so happy to give me a chance to speak as well. Such a beautiful conference, and thanks a lot to organizers. So this program have met from the different corners of our nation. The Manipur state is a small state and famous for cultural heritage, people know. And it belongs to North-East region. Unfortunately, there is happening an ethnic violence in Manipur since May 3, 2023, by illegal immigrants. Now, internally displaced persons such as IDPs are residing in different relief camps. But situation is somewhat better now. Our former Chief Minister, Shri N. Biren Singh, is a visionary leader, and he did to protect the indigenous people of Manipur for future generation. And actually the crisis is happening by influxing illegal immigrants who are coming from adjacent country like Myanmar, Bangladesh. Therefore, I would like to request you, there is much needed to enhance mandates of MGNREGS, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, and more fund is to be available in the state. On the contrary, we the PRIs should have know what are the roles and the responsibilities. मेरे मन में ऐसे आते हैं कि पब्लिक वेलफेयर स्कीम्स का लेके गांव-गांव तक जाके जनता के हाथ में देना ही होगा, ये जरूरी बात है. A slogan is India cannot develop without developing its villages. The India government has been implemented different public welfare schemes in the interest of the poor people, and to reach out the schemes to the village area is the main duty of Panchayati Raj institutions, and it can bring out economic development and better infrastructure in the villages. Lastly, I request to include a member from Manipur in the executive committee of All India Panchayat Parishad. Let me conclude here my speech. Thanks all. Dhanyavad.
Before
Thank
we
you,
start
dear.
the
Thank you.
third session, Mr.
Ajay Singh.
Yeah. Mr. Ajay Singh,
Just
President Jharkhand Panchayat.
Hello, one more, then you call your persons.
अभी अजय सिंह जी को बुला रहे थे. इधर मिस्टर अजय सिंह, प्रेसिडेंट झारखंड पंचायत परिषद, आप कृपया आके मंच पे आइए. And meanwhile, I request the panelists of the third plenary session to come to the stage.
ऑल इंडिया पंचायत परिषद के 18वें